Hello, my name is Etienne Gaudiant, and I'm excited to be talking with you today. I am a part of the cloud consulting team at CloudLogic. I am an AWS Certified Solutions Architect and a Certified Professional Google Cloud Data Engineer and Solutions Architect. I've been designing public and private cloud solutions for the last 7 years, amongst some of the largest enterprises in the United States. And today, I would like to talk to you about your AWS account and several specific do's and don'ts around one of the most overlooked decisions that you will make. Our talk is the first of several, focusing on key architectural and design decisions. Today, we will focus on the do's and don'ts of your AWS account in under 10 minutes. The AWS Root Account is first and foremost a billing entity. It contains all of the resources that will be consumed within AWS. It's important to note that you can have multiple root accounts, segregate control, billing, or even for security reasons. Additionally, the AWS root account is a boundary for all the IAM users and roles that will be defined to administer and support your AWS environment. Unfortunately, there is a lot of confusion around the differences between IAM user accounts and the AWS root account, something we'll talk more about shortly. And finally, it is the ultimate root account. It literally can do anything to any resource within your environment. And while that does sound very convenient, it can also be very dangerous if misused. Amazon has two different forms of accounts, the root account and identity and access management users, or IAM users. IAM users are accounts that are defined within the root account to support users within a team or a company and ideally their job roles. As you can see here, I have 3 different IAM user accounts tied to me personally, each with a different job role and the corresponding appropriate permissions within. Additionally, AWS also offers roles. And unlike users and the AWS root account, a role is specific to providing access and authorization between 2 AWS machine resources. For example, I could have a role to provide access between EC2, a virtual machine, and DynamoDB, a database platform within AWS. I can have it to communicate between 2 EC2 instances, or even have DynamoDB write off data to an S3 storage bucket. This provides for simplified granular security without having to store passwords within resources and is infinitely more secure. It's also important to know that IAM users cannot be shared across root accounts. Each root account that you manage and operate will have to have unique IAM users set up. But this can actually be a powerful tool because not all users need access to all accounts typically. And finally, to simplify user management, IAM can be federated with a corporate identity service, say Active Directory, for example, or LDAP. This ensures that the user's passwords are kept within the corporate boundaries and that the correct policies are deployed. And for companies that don't federate, IAM policies can be applied to IAM users and groups to ensure that the right controls for, say, password complexity or access control are properly enforced. So let's talk a little bit about how your accounts and the deployment of your accounts and configuration affect your security posture. Infrastructure as code is unique to public cloud. Now, I can certainly deploy it on a private cloud. It is become template-based power that I can use to really accelerate my adoption of public cloud resources and platforms. It creates amazing speed through which configuration templates propagate everything from network resources like load balancers and switches to virtual machines, and it's all done in a repeatable, reliable manner. Assets can be created or destroyed in mere seconds, and including all of the protections that we are used to depending on to recover from a major loss event. So, for example, are you storing your snapshots and backups of all your data in the same root account? A malicious user can destroy both your data and your backups with the right commands in a matter of seconds. This is a genuinely unique problem for public cloud. Unlike traditional data center technologies, however, it is also infinitely solvable for cloud infrastructure as code. Additionally, diversity of services is an important tenet to the AWS well-architected framework. And separating different DR services, diverse services designed for diversity, and your backups into a separate account is an important way to ensure that a single event cannot cause an unrecoverable situation. It's important to understand that accounts cross regions. And so regional diversity is important to have for an act of God event, say an earthquake or a disaster within the data center itself. However, without account diversity, I don't have protection from a malicious or unintended user because that account reaches across multiple regions. And finally, there is always a trade-off. Data transfer that is required to take place between your accounts is metered in all cases. And depending on how that data is transported, it can vary significantly in fees. So as little as 1 cent per gigabyte to as much as 15 cents per gigabyte. And this easily, in a poor design, can become 25 to 35% of your cloud bill. So let's compare 3 different account strategies. In option 1, a single account model, which we've talked about, you have a single blast zone. It's obviously a great risk. But I do have the lowest cost in terms of egress and transit fees. And so there are trade-offs to be had there. In the option 2, which is 1 account per budget, I have an interesting mix. I have the ability to limit my blast zones to individual business units, but at the same time, a single business unit can still have a malicious user take them out of their cloud environment. And finally, we do see some clients try to move towards microsegmentation, 1 account per business service. Obviously, my blast zone scenario is smallest because that is wrapped around a group of applications that are tied together in a workflow. But I also have the highest cost in terms of my transit and egress fees. So this is an important trade-off. And once again, I do have more complexity in terms of IAM because I have to recreate multiple users in multiple places and ideally federate them back to a tool like Active Directory. So let's talk a little bit about best practices. So best practice number 1, do not ever use your root account to provision or operate infrastructure within AWS. Always use IAM users with least privilege applied. Do always use multi-factor authentication when it comes to your root account. This is important because you can use something as simple as Google Authenticator in order to ensure that you have something you have and something you know. Do turn off API access to the root account. This is crucial in order to ensure that a single IAC resource cannot go in and wreak havoc within your environment. Absolutely use roles rather than sharing and recording access and secret keys within each machine. Always develop IAM users on a per job function basis. Development versus production, each one with limited capabilities. Do deploy DR and data protection into a different account from production. This will limit your ability to have a single blast zone. Do audit using security tools. And CloudLogic actually offers a cloud optimization service that will include an audit of your account configuration against several different compliance requirements and industry best practices. CloudLogic is a professional services firm that offers 4 major capabilities: cloud consulting and strategy, placement, running what-if scenarios that measure and prioritize business, technical, and financial needs, migration and transformation, accelerating adoption of cloud and the ability to evolve applications into cloud-native platforms, and cloud optimization. First and foremost, focus on driving out unnecessary costs out of your cloud deployment, while also validating the configuration against industry best practices and many regulatory frameworks, including NIST, PCI, HIPAA, among others. Thank you for your time today as we focused on part 1 of the do's and don'ts of your AWS account in under 10 minutes. For more information, please email the address above or contact your account executive. Thank you.